everyone, and thank you for joining today. So we're not going to take too much of your time, but we are going to give a substantive presentation on why we feel as though we'd be a good organization for you guys to consider employment with, okay, as a loan officer. We've developed a platform, a strategy that is really, I like to consider it like 360 degrees. We cover all aspects of the lending process so that you guys can really get loose, get out there, sell, and make money. Now, you'll see that we tagline this as Client Direct Mortgage can make you a future millionaire MLO, okay? And I'm pretty serious about that. I try to keep simplicity in things as I approach this business. And just really briefly, I'm not going to go too far into my history, but I was able to achieve, I've been in the business 10 years, and about 3-4 years into the business, I was able to achieve like a top originator status. I had my small team, had about 3 or 4 other people that worked with me, LOA, processor, and we did about anywhere from, I mean, it went in steps, of course, at my first about 30 million, 50 million, but ultimately I wound up to be able to get to around 220, $225 million a year in production, right? With my small team. So what we've done at Client Direct is take some of those elements, we built out a platform and a system so that people can sort of follow the same path that I went down to be successful in this business. So as we walk through this, I just want you guys to sit back, buckle in, and kind of look at the path that we've sort of established for you to be able to follow in that same path of becoming like a future millionaire MLO. Now, doesn't mean that everybody's going to come on here to try to make $1 million. Future millionaire MLO is more of a mindset, right? It's how you approach things. Some people might do this part-time. Some people might do it completely full-time. Some people might have a goal of making $250,000 a year, right? That's totally fine. This is more about how you approach the business or how I approach the business to be extremely successful. With consistency, dependability, there's a bunch of elements that sort of come into this. Okay, so let's rock. Let's get this rolling. Let's get to the next slide so we can kind of start this roller coaster. So we kind of talked about this. Though again, I told you simplicity from the beginning. One of the keys that we focus on is loan officer development. I don't think you see that at a lot of companies, right? Especially in the broker channel. Now, we see a whole bunch of focus in support and operations, and we are wonderful in that aspect too. We do your processing for you. We'll do pre-approvals for you. But the main focus of our organization is to develop you as an LO. And to me, developing you as an LO directly equates to how many deals you're closing and how much money you're making, okay? That's one of the primary focuses of what we've established here at Client Direct. Okay, let's proceed. Now, again, for simplicity, what we've done is carve out particular pillars, if you will, right? So these are the focal points that we wanted to sort of establish to set a platform that was fruitful for you guys, right? Something that this is the path to becoming that future millionaire MLO. We had to focus on compensation, okay? We had to focus on leads, platform, coaching, learning and training. And I'm going to go through each one of these and sort of give my perspective and how that relates back to that mentality of being a future millionaire LO. Okay, so let's take the slide to comp. All right. We are in an environment. One thing that's very important in this industry, one thing I was always able to do is understand the climate of the mortgage industry. We have different seasons. We know 2020 and 2021, it was a very fruitful, easy season. Apples were falling off the trees, right? It's not like that anymore. It's not going to be like that in the near future, right? So our activities, our mindset, and the way we approach things has to change. What also has to change is compensation models. So I've talked to a number of LOs. So a lot of this is rooted on me having conversations and doing research from LOs at multiple different companies, whether it be retail, consumer direct, sphere of influence, LOs, whether you're working on the broker side or the retail side. So I've done my job at talking to hundreds and hundreds of LOs to get perspective. Now, and during these boom times in 20 and 2021, you could be consumer direct and you could be paid $500 a file. You could do 20 files a month and you could make $10,000. Well, guess what? that market is gone. It's not here anymore. My objective, like I said from the beginning, is to have you guys have a wage that you deserve for being in this business. We can all go get a regular job if if we wanted a small wage or just the middle of the road wage. This business is difficult, right? And we're here for that trade-off, right? We're willing to put in the time, the energy, the effort in exchange for possibly more money, right? So in this market, you're not about to do 20 deals a month. You're not going to do 15. It's very rare that you will even do 10 deals in a month. So our estimation from the lead system that we have is that you will fall in somewhere between 1.5 and 5 deals per month. That's where we think that you will truly be if you're consistently working day in and day out. So if I'm going to establish a company where I say you're going to be successful, I've got to be able to pay you in a way where closing 3 deals is still going to be able to support your whole family. And that's why we cranked up our pay to 200 basis points per loan. So you'll find that is some of the stronger pay in the whole broker channel. Okay, you won't even find that pay in the retail channel. That's completely out here. They don't pay that much. Broker side does pay that much. So what we've done is completely throw it out of the window. Even though we offer all this stuff, we said we are going to come just as high as any of the brokerages out there that offer the most back to the LO. Okay. It doesn't matter if leads are provided or you bring in self-source, right? We're still going to pay you the same way, right? Now, I am very good at lead aggregation. I've found a way to minimize cost on lead aggregation. I've been doing that for 10 years now, okay? And this doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be a consumer direct. LO, it's not about consumer direct. This is not about sphere of influence, right? In this market, the loan officer is going to have to do certain tasks. You're going to have to pick up the phone and make phone calls to realtors. It has to be done. It's just the market that we're in. Doesn't mean you're classified as one side or the other side. So when I'm speaking across this, our platform explained everything, I'm speaking to you as like what I see as the current loan officer. And it's not a consumer direct or sphere of influence, sort of like a mesh of the two. So it doesn't matter if we provide the leads or you bring it in, we're still going to pay you at that max. I don't play the tier game, right? If you come in, you're new, you close your first loan, it's not like, oh, you got to close 5 to get 200. You got to close 3 to get this. You got to do this. You got to jump through a hoop and do a black flip in order to get this percentage. Very clean, very simple. No tiers. You just get paid the 200 basis points. Okay. In allowable states, we are paying 1099. We've done a lot of research on this. Talked to all the established people that I need to talk to, as far as the CPA, lawyers, all that kind of stuff. If your state allows it from the NMLS, there are a couple states that say, no, you have to be W-2, but for the most part, I would say 90% of them are okay with 1099. So you'll deal with your own taxes. We'll pay $400,000 loan, right? You give no incentive or anything like that on the loan. You're just making your full 200, then you're going to get a check for $8,000. Very simple. Okay. And it's 100% commission, meaning that there's no draws, no salaries, none of that sort of stuff, right? Instead, we want to focus on paying you the absolute most that we can and help you create business is where we think our strength is. We think we can make you stand up on your own very quickly and not even need a draw. Those draws and salaries, those are all things that kind of keep you captive. And at the end of the day, they don't wind up being best from a financial and economic position for the loan officer. They're more of like a trick or tool, if you will. Okay, but let's move on. Okay, leads, right? We are in a market where, again, 2021, we had our cousins, nephews, sisters, everybody was doing a loan, right? That's not the case anymore. You have to have some kind of lead aggregation strategy, and don't get caught up into thinking like, oh, leads are for people that only do consumer direct, or leads are for that. Every loan officer should have some source of leads, and you actually do. Even a self-source person, that's a lead. A referral is a lead coming over, right? We've established a platform where we load plenty of leads into your system, and we'll teach you how to work those leads. Okay, if you don't have experience on doing it before, we are going to teach you how. Now, we do credit verified leads. I work with Equifax. Our database is probably about, to be honest with you guys, over this past year, signed a contract to buy over 1 million credit verified leads, right? So these are individuals that credit, we build the lead out is what we do, to be perfectly honest with you. So we buy credit verified leads. The credit bureaus do not have contact information, but I was previously in IT and data and all that good stuff. So I have resources and friends, all that. Man, we work with another company that builds out the contact information. Then we load all that into our CRM. Okay, we do it every single day. So we have a freaking ton of purchase leads out there. We have a ton of refinance leads, although the majority of them are looking for HELOCs now, right? But the purchase is, I think, that's where the money is. I mean, we have plenty of people that have been looking and waiting, and I think they're going to really come out of the woodwork or come off the sidelines here in a month or so. Okay, we also have the realtor leads. Again, like I told you, I'm big in data. I'm going to touch on this one a little bit more later on. I did dive in on the realtor leads, and what I do, I either dive in on the mortgage leads or I dive in on the realtor leads. It gets kind of long for me to do both on a call, but on this call, we're going to dive into the realtor leads a little bit more. You guys are going to see how I walk you to the path of being pretty successful financially in this business. Okay, let's get past the leads and move on to the next. Okay, platform. Okay, so I told my career before this was in IT. All right, I went to school for IT. So first career IT, second career mortgage. We couldn't find the absolute best system or the system that we wanted to be able to like text and email and voicemail drop and automatically do this, automatically do that, and keep everything in one platform, really, right? So what I did is start a separate company called Lead Maturation. So I have another company called Lead Maturation. I own it with a couple of people that worked at Salesforce for the last 15 years. We built an end-to-end platform that includes your CRM, your point of sale. It links back up to your LOS. So you have one of the most robust systems at your fingertips to earn this money and to get out there and get after it. I put whatever up against anyone else in the channel that our systems will absolutely smoke their systems when you're looking end to end, right? I'm talking about leads coming into the system, the way you work them, the documentation, the communication. You talk to the operations people right there in the system. There's transparency. Documents are uploaded. The point of sale system connects into it. I can go on and on with the advantages of our overall platform. And guess what? It's one login. You're on this one single platform. So it's pretty neat, and it allows you to focus in and do business more efficiently and keep in contact with your clients is really what the important things is. Okay, the pricing engine is built into there, client communication, all done through that system. Even the mobile app, we use Ring Central for our phones. All of you get your own Ring Central telephone number, okay? You text from it, you call from it, you can do a video conference from it. It's connected into the Salesforce as well. All right, so you can do this from your computer. You could be out on your phone, get a notification that I was supposed to call this realtor back at 2:30. Oh man, I completely forgot about it. It'll ping you in your notifications and tell you, hey, you got to call this realtor. So you don't forget, right? You were out getting milk at the grocery store. Then boom, you hit a couple buttons, realtor's on the phone within the Salesforce app, calling through your Ring Central. We set it up since COVID in a way that we realize you guys are remote. We realize you guys are doing this or doing that. You're not strung in front of a computer all day long. And we have to make it so that you can sell and engage at any moment in time. I understood that you need to intertwine your life with your business. So if you're a true prospector, and this was me, this is how I did it. I consider myself a true prospector, right? When I was at LO. So that means at any point in time, wherever I'm at, and don't get me wrong, there's times you shut down, you with your family and stuff, you can disable the stuff, right? Or you put do not disturb. But if I'm not on do not disturb, I'm available to make money. Okay. So at any point in time through our system, you're going to be able to connect with your whole database. So that Salesforce app has your complete database, your complete calendar. You can text anybody at any point in time. So it's very powerful. I don't care if you're on a flight, it's absolutely amazing, and it really gives you access. Outside of the web-based desktop version is amazing as well. So in other words, you're always plugged in, and this is extremely important in going towards that path of being a future millionaire MLO. You can't be on sometimes, off sometimes in this business if you're reaching for the top. Now, don't misconstrue my words. If you are it's okay to be part-time, but in your established part-time, you can still be completely engaged, and this allows you to be engaged, is what I mean, right? Okay, so let's move on from the platform. Okay, so one thing that I learned through this process, because we had a lot of LOs we have like, I think we have about 80 LOs now, 80, 90 LOs. And keep in mind, although I've been in the business for 10 years, I had a previous company that was local to my area. We rebranded as Client Direct Mortgage last year, and we started hiring LOs in the Client Direct Mortgage last year. So we got about 90 LOs somewhere between April and the end of the year. So we had a good number come over. One thing that I understood and I learned from my LOs though, because I'm very you guys gotta remember, I'm an LO too, right? I'm an LO that's running this company and moving into the role of leadership and a CEO. But I know exactly what you do. I know the emotion of what you go through. I know how it is dealing with all the nuances. So I'm very empathetic and I'm very in touch, if you know what I mean. I'm in the trenches with you guys, right? So that's going to be one big difference between me and a lot of other people out there. Shoot, that's why I'm on this call now, right? Because I want to look at you guys. I want you to look at me. I want you to hear it out of my voice, because you're going to hear my voice down the road, right? I am one of the coaches. You will be able to work with me and engage me through this process. But getting back to what I learned, I think I gave a lot of the tools. I was like, here goes the platform, here goes the leads, here goes this, here goes that. And I kind of pushed that into LO's lap. But every LO didn't necessarily know how to execute on those things, right? They didn't know when to call, how to call, what to say, what scripts we're using, what products are we pushing now, what's the best this and what's the best that at this current moment in time, right? And so what I decided was, we need to have a consistent program where we're engaging. This is not just a platform for you guys to come in and say, hey, I need help every once in a while. It's for us to be proactive and engage you and say, hey, how's it going? Let's look at your calls. Are you getting a response? It seems like every 10 connections you make, right, you're able to get an application. You're doing really good. That's a very high conversion rate, for this type of lead. We can look at the pace at which you're continually calling the real estate agents to see what kind of response you're getting there and make other suggestions. Now, I just don't throw you out there and say, hey, bring me back business and I'll close it. I am a big product guy, right? So I'm out there looking at products, trying to match them up to the different leads and the different realtors that are out there at any given point in time. And that's what I mean by 360, right? I'm not going to throw it all on your shoulders to say, hey, you guys figure it out, bring it back to me and I'll butcher it. No, that's not how we do it, right? I'm going to be out there with you with strategies, tools, weapons, even in the hunt, right? So I want to say, hey, I think it's plentiful over there. There's a lot of opportunity over there. Let's use this tool. Let's use this weapon to go take down that particular business, right? And then we're going to coach you through that. We're going to give you the scripts. We're going to show you what works and all that sort of thing. All the stuff that worked for me on my quest to being a top originator. I am really good at engaging the consumer. I understand the psychology. I understand what words to say, and I can help you guys increase that production through these conversations, right? All I need from you guys is just the ability to tell me what your time frame is that you want. Tell me how much you want to put into this, right? And we have something called 25, 50, 100. We'll explain that, if you decide to come on, we'll get deeper into that. But you tell me what the commitment level is, right? And then all I ask is that you're consistent and dependable within that commitment level. And everything else I'm going to be able to teach you. And you know what? You guys are going to be able to teach me things too, because a lot of you on this call that have a lot of experience and can give back to us and give back to the bigger platform too. So speaking of that, let's move on. Okay, speaking to giving back to the current platform, we also found that there's so much information going back and forth, so many questions, so many of this and that we needed to centralize it. We need to funnel it, right? So what we have is a separate platform. It's called the knowledge base. You can go into the knowledge base and search anything and get information back about that question. Like we had somebody the other day ask about the Cavers report, right, on a government loan. Like, hey, how do I get somebody to get me the KRIS report? And we let them know that has to come back from the investor, right? That's not something that we are able to pull through FHA connection. But any question that you guys have, if we deem it a good question, we turn around and put it in the knowledge base so you can search it. So we're actively growing and helping one another. Not only is that information in the knowledge base, tickets are in there for any possible thing. You have login issues, operations escalation, pricing request help, right? Scenario request help. You go in, you open a ticket, somebody will get back in touch with you within 24 hours. So we've actually covered every facet that we can think of. And if we didn't cover something, by all means, contribute, tell us, and we'll put that in there too. We're very big on video. There's a bunch of video libraries that show you how to do different things, walk you through this and that. So we put a ton of information out in that open forum so you guys can minimize that learning curve and get to winning. And all of these little components, all of these little things equate to helping you get towards that income increase, that future millionaire MLO sort of like mentality, if you will, right? So you need these pieces to achieve, because it really comes down to time, right? If you're spending a bunch of time, if you spend half the day trying to do an AUS, or you spend half and you didn't make your prospecting calls, you missed it. You might have missed the purchase contract. I can't have you guys miss purchase contracts, right? And I think that's a beautiful segue into the next one. So let's kind of get away from this. This is my favorite. So this is something that our team came up with. And we were like, we are going to dive deep into purchase, right? And we know purchase is controlled by realtors. We went across and looked at every single state that we're approved in, okay? When we're approved in about, I don't know, 36, 37 states or something like that, okay? I'm big on data. So I have access to data. I have access to different portals and things like that, and I subscribe to things. Okay. I drilled down and looked at all, and just follow me here, okay? I'm going to slow down and so you guys really, really grasp this. I looked at all the realtors in the states that we're approved, states that we're licensed, our company, all the realtors that did 12 or more buy-side transactions. Okay, I was curious. I was like, how many? I know there are like 1.2 million licensed realtors in the country, but how many in the states that we're approved did 12 or more buy-side transactions in the last year? So it had to be the last year. You had to do at least 12 was litmus test. So I pulled all that data down, and interestingly, there's 57,000 realtors that meet that criteria. Okay. All right, let's go to the next slide. So my data source doesn't only tell me how many transactions they did. My data source allowed me to see who the mortgage company was on all of their transactions, right? And this is what really surprised me, because 7 out of 9 of them, like 80% of the 57,000, they nearly used a different LO on every single transaction. And I was like amazed. I was like, wow, 80% of the market is not owned, basically. They're using whomever, okay? So that's what that tells me. The other two, okay, let me tell you about the other two. 1 out of 9, they had some kind of financial company connected to them, like real estate and loans. Like you could do that in California, right? So it sounds like they're just gobbling up all the loans that they sort of represent the agent on. So the realtor's doing both sides, basically, right? And then the last 1 out of 9 were traditional relationships where it did look like a loan officer owned the majority of that individual's business, right? But 7 out of 9 seem to be pretty open to working with whomever, right? Okay, so let's go to the next slide. All right, so what we did was we took those 57,000, and there's very bad data out there. If you're trying to buy like pre-bought lists and things like that, there's very bad data on trying to get these individuals' cell phone numbers and their emails. You can buy a list, but it's always like the corporate office. Like, this is Remax, right? It's not their personal cell phone number. So what we did was we downloaded the 57,000 people, okay? Then I have a team in the Philippines. I have about 17 people that work in the Philippines. I took them off their projects that they were working on, and all day long, I had them data mine through Google, right? go look up every one of these loan officers and give me their cell phone number, give me their email, and give me their address. So we pulled down 57,000 of these realtors, what we call our own National Top Realtor Registry. So we created our own registry of these top individuals. Then from there, we dropped them into the Salesforce. And that's why our system is so awesome and so robust. It allows me to think outside of just like normal boundaries that one would and say, like, I'm not limited on the ability to have technology or whatnot. I would say I'm very close to being one of those bigger entities that are out there that you see in retail. They use some of the same companies, Salesforce, this, that, and they look at things from a national perspective. The only thing is they're going to try to give you pennies on the dollar as far as commission or whatnot. I'm coming in and saying, hey, forget that. This was a labor of love, right? I'm going to build it in, and I'm going to let my people eat and get after it. Is my perspective on this thing, okay? So let's just talk about, it's great that I have those leads in there. It's great you can pull them down, all this sort of thing. And the way we do this in the Salesforce is you have these different pipelines. You have a mortgage lead pipeline, okay? Then you can click another button and it shows your realtor pipeline. So you have all these different pipelines that you can kind of work. Then it shows all your events and your calendar stuff on the right side. We've custom built this for your success, is basically what it comes down to. So you get 50 realtor leads. That's what we start you off with. If some people will have more capacity, some will have less. But let's just talk about this 80%, this 7 out of 9 really quick, because it's a huge opportunity. If you have your 50 realtor leads, I think that you can gain 0.25 deals per month from this realtor community, okay? Each realtor, you can get 0.25 deals per month. That means that you'll get one deal from them every 4 months. That's it. One deal every 4 months. Now, keep in mind, the minimum was 12 deals. So the average is closer to like 16 or so, okay? That these realtors do. Some did more, the minimum they did was 12. Some did 20, some did 25, some did, 13. Average about 16 or so. So all you need to do is get one deal from them every 4 months. And this group is accustomed to using different people on every single deal, right? All right. So if you consistently, and our system sets you up to do this, it reminds you to call these realtors 10 a day. That's all you have to do every single day, 10 a day. Then the next week, the same 10. We have this program. Now we have the 2-1 buy down. Now we have the home renovation. We call it the purchase cash out loans. Now we have this. Oh, and by the way, the third week, hey, I don't have a product for you this week, but I just wanted to point out the fact that it's 10 o'clock on a Monday. And I called you last week, 10 o'clock on a Monday. And I called you the week before 10 o'clock on a Monday. I am consistent and dependable. And I'm going to be the same way for your clients when you refer me your first deal, right? So every third week, just tell them how consistent and dependable you are. If you do this, they will oblige. And I know this because I surveyed a number of them. A number, probably not that many, probably about 40 of my buddies that are realtors. And I asked them the same thing. So let's just put a cap on this really quick before we move on. And I know this seems like, oh, wow, $1 million in comp, how I'm going to do that, right? When I walk through the numbers, it seems realistic though. You're like, oh yeah, I can probably get one deal every 4 months, especially if they use a bunch of different people, right? And all I have to do is call 10 a day. And that makes my 50 for the week, and I just do that consistently, that gets you to the $1 million. At 150 deals, right? Average loan amount, $375 at 2%. Do you realize that it's $1.12 million in commission? So even if you try for this, and you failed. You failed miserably. You got 50%, which would normally be an F in the majority of things that we are taught in life, right? You got a freaking F on calling but you called everybody, 10 a day, 5 days a week, and you ended up with $550,000. I don't think you'd be too upset with me. I think you'll still be all right. You won't be mad. You won't be mad. Listen, if you guys, I put my, blood, sweat, and tears into making a platform because it wasn't there. It wasn't there for me when I started in this business. And that's why I went out. I never worked for retail. I had a real estate broker license out of California, didn't really like all the interviewed a couple places, didn't like any of the guy. I felt like I was just being, just going to be used and abused. I said, you know what? I might as well start my own thing and learn. I know IT. And then I got online. I bought some leads from Zillow, bought some leads from LendingTree, and never looked back. Mind you, it only cost $250 to get in on LendingTree and Zillow at that time. Now it's like 10,000, and they only allow corporate account, all that kind of stuff. So that ship has sailed. But my point is, when I see a clear path, right? When I see a play, if you will, and I have the ability to see through it and realize that this is a winner. And I'm telling you guys, this is a winner. The products, right? The product diversification, the platform, the optionality that we have on the broker side. The only thing we were missing was that that platform, that lead base, that sort of like lead aggregation strategy to help you guys win out front. But the things that we have on the other end, when we combine them, when we really start to develop that front end, like we've done, I think we're going to be unstoppable. You're going to see brokers really start to run past the retail loan officers out there. Okay, from a financial perspective, the earning. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, and this was in the survey that I kind of came up with, and you guys could probably relate to some of this with the people that you know. Maybe go out there and you ask some people too. But I needed to know why 7 out of 9 realtors out there were using so many different people. And these were the top answers that I kind of got back. The buyer comes in pre-approved and the realtor does not want to rock the boat. Okay, I get it. They need to have an extreme level of confidence in you to kind of suggest that this person come off of the path they're already on. But if they're already on that path, they kind of like leave them alone. Okay. No particular loan officer owns all the top of mind space at the moment the realtor needs to refer a client. So they kind of like grab at whatever's the closest, right? Nobody is really like, oh, I'm calling Ramon immediately, right? As soon as I have this, it's not, it's like my guy or my gal sort of thing. That does not exist for the majority of realtors. The majority of realtors our loan officers don't have the product differentiation, forcing the realtors to use like a toolbox approach. So what they do is they have certain loan officers for certain things. Like, I'm going to use them for that. I'm going to use them for that. I'm going to use that. Because as a broker, though, we can come in and say, hey, we're the toolbox. You can get rid. You don't have to go discern between, do I use that person? Do I use that person? Do I use that person? Come to me. Let me take care of you. Everybody wants to be taken care of. And that's what this is really about. It's about taking care of people. Take care of the realtor. Let them know you're present. We have something called VIV, value in voicemails. A lot of people, I talked to the voicemail, blah, 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 I want to do a voicemail drop. I don't encourage it. I say leave your voicemails. Think about this. When you send a text message and it's long, you're kind of like, oh, who's sending me this long text message? But a lot of us have iPhones. When somebody leaves a voice message, I go to my voice message and I look at it voice to text. I don't listen to my voice message. It converts it and I kind of read it. I'm completely okay. It's kind of interesting. Psychologically, I'm okay with reading a longer text in the voicemail, in the visual voicemail, as opposed to I am over here in the text message. So don't send a long text message. If you want to do something longer, put it in a voicemail. It's going to convert to text anyway. And then you kind of speak in a way where you're calling out those key points, those talking points about your products. So all they see is blah, blah. And then once a week, you start to take up their space in their visual voicemail, in their voicemail too, because they only allocate so many spots. So when they need something, what they're going to do, they're going to go to that visual voicemail, scroll, look at your number, and just call you, right? That's going to be the practice that they do. But that's what we're sort of establishing. We're establishing that consistency, right? And we're going to wind up being the dependable source because everyone else they're still not doing it. They're not doing it. Okay. And then that's the other thing, the communication. No loan officer establishes a level of consistency and communication with the realtor. And that's what I'm talking about. You can't do it for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And listen, I get it. I've surveyed a lot of loan officers who said, okay, Ramon, I went out, I Googled someone, I put them on a spreadsheet, I called them, they didn't call me back. I called them again later in the week, but then the next week I even forgot where I placed them, right? It's because there's no CRM, there's no system telling you to call. Our system on our phone with the Salesforce app is going to send you a notification, just like right where your texts are on your home screen, and tell you you should call, you have an appointment to call this person. So you don't forget. Make it easy. Leave the voicemail really quick. Even if it's a quick voicemail. Hey, this is Ramon. It's the third week I called you. Consistency and dependability. I'm here for you. Call me if you need me. Click. How long did that take? I did that while I was sitting in the car, waiting on my daughter to come out of school. But I did it, right? You can't be tied to computers anymore. It doesn't work. You can't prospect from the computers as a LO. You can do it in other facets of business, right? But as an LO, you got to consistently hit these people, right? And you're going to be out and about. You're going to be moving and shaking, all right? You might be at an open house for somebody. You might be at this. You might be at that, right? So you've still got to be able to make that call on that time. It's important to be consistent as far as time is concerned. Okay, I think that okay, so that wraps up that piece. I think we're pretty much close to the end, except for we want to give a shout out to our number one partner, United Wholesale Mortgage. Now, some of you came over from United Wholesale Mortgage. You were referred over. The one thing that is absolutely excellent about them, well, number one, they become number one in the country, right, as far as a lender or whatnot. But the more beautiful thing about this is that they did it through servitude. They did it through helping brokers grow their business. A lot of you know that they don't have a retail outlet, and everything they do is to help you grow. So one of the things that's special, and I think is absolutely wonderful, is they'll bring us out to UWM, right, to see the facility, see the training, see the underwriting departments. You can walk the whole facility, see how big of a beautiful campus it is, and see where those loans are going through that production line once we get them over there to them on that side of it. Now, they also have a plethora of classes you can take. The success track is very in-depth, so you can continue to hone in your skills. The combination of what they're doing and then what we're bringing now can't equate to anything but extreme success if you're just willing to put in the energy and effort, just and the consistency. You gotta. It's sometimes no instant gratification. We're in a market where we got to work. It's different now. We're different. We're here. A lot of the people that decided that they didn't like this was going to be too difficult, they dropped off on the first. Those last 2 years, now it's back to pre-19 business. And some of us that have been in it kind of know. So we know that it's a different market. It's going to get back to traditional sales. It's going to be some of those books you open up, right? Some Glenn Ross sort of stuff. It takes 13 interactions to be able to win over a client, that kind of stuff, right? Not immediately falling out of the tree and drinking lemonade all in one swoop, right? So we got to cut the lemons, we got to squeeze them, it's back to that. But I appreciate it. To be honest with you, I appreciate the opportunity to do the work because it's going to allow me to show the difference. It's going to allow me to differentiate. I'm going to make relationships. This is the window to make relationships for a long time. This is going to be career changing for a lot of us. If we get in there and make these relationships, those bonds will not be broken until we're ready to get out of this business.